What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a closer look at the glorious AMD build. This was the November PC of the month, and in case you missed part one, I'll put a card right over there. You can see the full specs as well as a nice little time-lapse build. But in this video, we're strictly going to be testing it. Everything from gaming performance, we've got a slew of benchmarks lined up, as well as acoustics, thermals, and all that fun stuff we will be discussing today. So, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and mosey on over to the data screen right here where I've got everything all loaded up nice and fancy. Alright, so starting off with a look at our GPUs. Now, for those of you who aren't too familiar with the RX 480, it doesn't exactly have the most ceiling room when it comes to overclocking. In fact, when I tried to overclock these cards, just 2% in AMD Wattman, I was crashing every time, and that was even after opening up the power limit and doing all that sort of thing. So I pretty much just left them at stock frequencies. Now, I guess I shouldn't say stock completely because these are factory overclocked cards, so I basically just left them at their factory OC setting. And that basically got us a maximum GPU core clock speed of 1310 megahertz, which isn't too terrible. We also had 2000 megahertz on the GPU memory clock. Temperatures for the top card, which was the hotter card, of course, was 80 degrees Celsius versus 49 degrees Celsius on the bottom card. Now, I did see both of these temperatures rise a little bit higher when I was doing the full gamut of benchmarks. This actually got to 81 degrees on the top card, and I believe I was seeing the bottom card hit like somewhere in the mid-70s. So definitely not this cold. These numbers were achieved through, I would say, about half an hour of Unigine Heaven 4.0. So maybe not the most indicative of real-world gaming performance, but like I said, 81 degrees and 70-something degrees respectively on those two cards. As for our CPU, the FX 9590 right out of the box was already turboing to 5 gigahertz. You can see right there in hardware monitor, I did not do any manual overclocking at all, and we're getting a little over 5 gigahertz there, so I didn't even touch that. I actually tried to go 200 megahertz over that. I tried to, just tweak it a little bit more and just instant instability. So I just completely backed off, went back to stock frequency. So yes, this entire system is running stock out of the box right now. There's no manual overclocking whatsoever. Like I said, I tried on both the CPU and GPU and it just wasn't working out. So I just thought, screw it, it's not worth it. We'll stay a little bit cooler in the long run anyway. Better for longevity and that sort of thing. As far as thermals go, don't pay too much attention to that 46 degrees Celsius number there. That was Unigine Heaven 4.0 for about half an hour, like I said, but we were actually seeing closer to 59 degrees Celsius. That was the max that I saw during my testing, which is phenomenally good compared to, considering how much flack the FX 9590 gets for being super duper hot. I was expecting at least the high 60s at the very least, but to see it only get up to 59 degrees Celsius is pretty impressive. Granted, there have been known issues with monitoring AMD CPU temperatures in monitoring software like Hardware Monitor, so it could be an inaccuracy, but assuming all things are nice and correct, that's a pretty good score in my opinion. Of course, it also is a nice testament to the cooler that we've gotten there, which is the Corsair H100i GTX V2. Now, before we dive straight into the benchmarks, I did want to do a quick little acoustics test, but something to bear in mind before you take a listen at that is that the case that we built in, the Crystal Series 570X from Corsair, while it's a very beautiful and solid case with many features to boot, there's something to bear in mind here. Look at the tempered glass side panel, and look at the gap opening between it and the rest of the case. You can see it's actually got some space between it. It's a fairly open design. I wouldn't call it an open air chassis by any means, but there's certainly more space for air as well as noise to get through than a conventional case. And this extends all around the case, on all sides pretty much, on both sides as well. And it's just a very open-aired case. So I want you guys to bear that in mind when we go about doing this acoustics test. Right after the sound test, I'm probably going to jump straight into the benchmarks, and then we can go ahead and discuss it really quick, and then wrap this video up. right, y'all, so there you guys have it. And based on the results that we just saw, I can't really say that I'm surprised that we weren't getting skyrocket through the roof frame rates. If anything, I was more or less expecting us to get mediocre, subpar results, which is pretty much what we got in most of the games tested. And I think the reason for that isn't so much the RX 480s. Granted, some games don't crossfire as well as others, or scale in crossfire as well as others, but I think the shortest straw in the bunch today was definitely the FX 9590. Even though it's an 8-core chip, it's got multiple cores on it, it's got 8 cores, it's fine, but it's just too slow and too old of a CPU to keep up with the multi-GPU configuration like the RX 480s in there. So I think if we're going to take away anything today is don't build this exact computer. If you want to go for something similar as far as the graphics solution is concerned, definitely upgrade the CPU to something faster like Skylake. I think a Core i5 and higher would be a much better solution than the FX 9590, or you can wait for Kaby Lake or even Zen if you wanted to keep it all on the same AMD platform. And speaking of Zen, I think since it's just around the corner, it's either going to come later this month or potentially early next year in January. I think maybe once that platform is ready, I'll try doing a swap. I'll actually take out the AM3 Plus platform that's currently in this system, plug in AM4 with the CPU motherboard and DDR4 and stuff, and redo these benchmarks, because I think at that point we're really going to unlock the full potential of those Asus Strix cards right there. So I think that'll be a fun little test. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments, but that is going to do it for this here video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to toss me a like on the video if you did. Be sure to also subscribe to the channel for more tech stuff coming at you really soon, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.